Hey gang, Jake here. It has been a hell of a week for platform fighters. We finally got our last character for Smash Ultimate, which I would get into, but I might tear up, so that'll be for another time. And we finally got the chance to play Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. So real quick, I just want to give my day one first impressions. Nothing crazy, just my initial thoughts from what I've played and what I've seen in tournament footage. Fair warning, this video might sound negative, but that's only because I'm going to be talking about factors that aren't gameplay, which is easily the strongest part of this initial release. That's not me trying to slander the game or anything. I think that part's good. It's just that I understand that I'm not really the best source for that info. There are a lot of competitive players who understand this game's systems a lot better than I do, and I'd rather talk about other aspects. First off, the roster is really damn strong for a budget fighter. 20 characters, all of which feel like they fit into a nice niche that makes them unique, and all of which are entertaining to play and fight. The stage lineup is also pretty impressive. Personally, I find there's not much in between on legal stages and stages that are fucking bonkers, but that's understandable. The mode lineup is admittedly somewhat disappointing. Your only options are local battles, online, and arcade mode, which is really damn weak. Speaking of online, I wanted to talk about it more in this video since the rollback netcode is something the devs advertised heavily, but I somehow fully blocked my PC's connection to the university's routers trying to use a LAN cable, so I can't exactly talk at length about that. I'm sorry. That brings me to another point. The content we do have here is kinda weirdly prioritized. I get that the game was rushed, there's no doubt about it, but some fundamental fighting game stuff is just not here. There's no finale to arcade mode, which isn't to say that that's a necessity for an FG, but even Battle for the Grid had Lord Draken. I feel like Zim or Reptar could have slot into this fairly easily, but there's just nothing. The game ends with a random encounter. What this mode does have is dialogue, and it's bad. Personally, I'm not against the idea. I really enjoy the concept, but the dialogue is, from what I can tell, just random quotes from the shows. Which sucks, because there's tons of potential there. I'd love to see little interactions between these characters as they're being friendly or just getting ready to slug it out, but nope. Just take this random fucking quote from Invader Zim Season 1. Beyond that, basic things like alternate costumes are just nowhere to be seen, which is mildly bonkers. I'm genuinely curious as to whether or not that's a product of Nickelodeon being weird about IP, or just not having enough time, because honestly, I could buy both. Which is another thing. This game has some weird-ass quirks. The text on the retry screen in arcade mode isn't properly formatted, the progression for arcade mode dialogue can sometimes just not work, and there's some serious slowdown on certain stages. But this is all visual. The issues aren't bleeding into the gameplay, right? Well, it seems like there's some serious issues that have slipped through the cracks. I spent the majority of my time in the PC version, but I also played the Switch version on a friend's Switch, just to see if my issues running it were a common thing. That's where I noticed that if I edited my controls, my friend's controls were also changed, which led to gameplay being a hot mess because my control setup is jank as hell. This on its own isn't a big deal breaker for a lot of people, but I highly doubt it's the end of the issues, which brings me to my biggest issue. The game is $50. I understand that the game is developed by an indie team, and I'm not trying to disparage them, because they clearly do good work, but for a game that costs more than multiple copies of Gunvolt 2, the launch has been rough. Ultimately, it's still a fun time, and based on the explosive launch response and the already planned DLC, I highly doubt this is the end of the game's story. However, for the state it's in and the price it's at, I don't really know if I can recommend this unless you're a ride or die platform fighter fan or a Nicktoons fan. Otherwise, maybe wait until we see more content or QOL updates. Thank y'all for watching. I'm sorry, this is a very light video, but I wanted something small so I could get it out quick. If you enjoyed it, please consider not giving it a like or subscribing. I'm experimenting with reverse psychology. That's really all I've got to say, so I'm gonna go get to editing and practicing with Cora. Have a good one. Peace out.